My daughter's hands were shaking so hard the cardboard sign tapped against her dress like a metronome. The words were thick black marker, family disgrace. She didn't cry, she just stared at the floor like she'd been trained not to exist. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I buckled her in, drove home, and opened the envelope my husband warned me never to show his family, and everything cracked open. Before I take you back, if you like stories where a quiet person stops swallowing disrespect and starts protecting their child with receipts, hit like and subscribe. And comment 2 things, what city you're listening from, and what time it is there right now. I actually read those. My name is Maya Hart. I'm 35, a night shift paramedic in Arizona, and I'm raising my daughter Sophie alone since my husband Caleb died. I thought grief was the hardest thing I'd live through. I was wrong. The hardest thing was realizing what some people will do to a child when they believe you won't fight back. Christmas Eve was supposed to be quiet. Not sad. Not lonely. Just small. The kind of Christmas you build when life has already taken something big from you, and you're trying to prove it didn't take everything. It was just me and Sophie in our little place outside Mesa. The tree leaned slightly to the left because the stand was missing one screw, and Sophie insisted that made it look like it had personality. Paper snowflakes covered the sliding glass door, each one different because she refused to use a template. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon and butter because we were having pancakes for dinner, our rule-breaker tradition. Sophie stood on a chair at the counter, carefully placing blueberries into a smiley face on my plate. "This one is for you," she said seriously. "It's a happy plate." I smiled even though my chest felt heavy. I had set the table for 2. 2 plates. 2 forks. 2 glasses. I started doing that after Caleb died because an empty seat felt worse than pretending he was just late. We were mid-laugh, Sophie giggling because I flipped a pancake too hard and it hit the stove instead of the pan, when my phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't even need to see the name. That sound hits different when you work emergency services. Caller ID, Maricopa EMS supervisor. My stomach dropped. I answered, already standing. "This is Maya." "Maya," Darla said, her voice clipped and strained. I could hear sirens bleeding through the phone. "We've got a major pileup on the 202. Bus involved. 2 units are down. We need you." The word bus pressed all the air out of my lungs. That meant families. Kids. Panic layered on panic. I looked at Sophie. She'd gone still, syrup dripping slowly off her fork. "I can come," I said quietly. Darla exhaled in relief. 10 minutes? 10. I hung up and crouched to Sophie's height. "Sweetheart. I have to go to work." She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She just nodded like disappointment was something she already knew how to carry. "Can we do pancakes again tomorrow?" she asked. "Yes," I said, too fast. "I promise." I was lying, but gently. My parents lived in Michigan. Our backup babysitter was out of town. There was only one person close enough. My late husband's mother. Gloria Vance. Caleb used to joke that his mom's house felt like a courtroom where emotions were always on trial. Everything was about appearances, rules, and hierarchy. And I never quite passed inspection. Still, it was Christmas Eve. I called. She answered on the first ring. "Maya," she said brightly. Too brightly. "Bring Sophie over. Everyone's here." That cheer should have warned me. It didn't. I was tired. I was trying to do the right thing. I dressed Sophie in her red sweater dress, fixed the bow in her hair, and handed her the gift bag she'd made for Gloria, peppermint tea, lotion, and a card with careful handwriting, "Merry Christmas. Love, Sophie." At the door, Sophie hugged me tightly. "Come get me before it's dark," she whispered. "If you need me," I said, "call me. Even if they say no." She nodded, but her eyes didn't. When we arrived, Gloria kissed Sophie's cheek like she was performing affection. Behind her, the house was full, relatives, laughter, clinking plates. And then I saw him. Trent. Caleb's older brother. He looked up and smiled like nothing had ever been wrong between us. Like he hadn't spent years reminding me that I was replaceable. "Look who made it," he called. Gloria's smile tightened. "Try not to be late picking her up." I kissed Sophie's forehead. "I'll be back." As I walked to my car, something tugged at my chest. Not fear. Instinct. The freeway was a nightmare. Twisted metal. Steam rising into the cold night air. A man screaming his wife's name over and over. A teenager insisting he was fine while his arm bent the wrong way. My body went into work mode. Airway. Bleeding. Stabilize. Move. But every time I had a second to breathe, my mind snapped back to Sophie. At 9:12 p.m., I saw my first missed call from her. At 9:27, another. At 9:41, a text. "Mom. Please." No emoji. Sophie always used emojis. My hands went cold. I called back immediately. It rang, then stopped. I tried again. This time someone answered. "Maya," Gloria said calmly. "She's fine. She's just being dramatic." "I want to talk to my daughter," I said. "She's busy," Gloria replied. "We're eating." "Put her on," I said. "Now." There was a pause. No background noise. No laughter. No music. Just silence. "She can call you later," Gloria said, and hung up. Something twisted deep in my gut. A medic shouted my name. Another patient. Another decision I didn't want to make. I chose the patient. At 12:06 a.m., I finally sat down and opened my phone again. That's when I saw the photo attachment. Dark. Low angle. Cardboard. String. Black marker. 2 words burned into my brain. Family disgrace. I didn't think. I didn't argue. I got in my car and drove. Gloria's street was glowing with Christmas lights, every house bright except hers. Her porch was dark. I knocked. No answer. I knocked harder. The light snapped on. Gloria opened the door in a satin robe, irritated. "It's after midnight," she said. I stepped past her. The dining room was spotless. Chairs pushed in. No evidence of people. And on the couch sat Sophie. Her dress wrinkled. Her eyes swollen. Her hands resting on a piece of cardboard. I knelt and lifted the sign. Family disgrace. The string had left a red line around her neck. I folded the sign and slid it into my coat pocket. Gloria waited for me to explode. I didn't. I picked up Sophie and carried her out. She needed a lesson, Gloria snapped. I buckled Sophie into the car. "You're going to regret tonight," I said softly. Gloria laughed. Sophie finally spoke in the car. I told the truth. And as she explained what happened, something inside me hardened. This wasn't discipline. This was intimidation. After Sophie fell asleep, I went to the closet. Top shelf. Caleb's black file bag. I opened it. Inside was proof that this wasn't new. Proof Caleb saw this coming. A deed. My name on it. An account. Gloria as custodian. And a letter from Caleb that said, "If you're reading this, they crossed a line. Don't argue. Document everything." I sat at the table at 2:13 a.m. realizing Gloria's confidence wasn't arrogance. It was preparation. And now, it was my turn. Gloria called at 8:19 a.m. the next morning. I knew the exact time because I stared at her name on my screen for a full 5 seconds before answering. Sophie was still asleep, curled up with her stuffed rabbit like the world hadn't just shown her its teeth. I answered and said nothing. "Maya," Gloria said warmly, the way she spoke when she wanted to sound reasonable in case anyone was listening. "I've been worried sick. You left in such a state last night." I stayed silent. Silence makes people uncomfortable. Gloria hated it. "Look," she continued, "what happened might have looked harsh, but Sophie crossed a line. Children need to understand consequences." "Explain the sign," I said quietly. She sighed, irritated now. She accused Trent of stealing at the dinner table. In front of everyone. "What did Trent steal?" I asked. There it was, the pause. Tiny. Almost invisible. But real. "Nothing," Gloria snapped. "That's the point." She lied. "So you punished her for asking a question," I said. "Maya," she hissed, "you baby that child." She embarrassed the family. Family. The word tasted bitter. "And I'm going to be very clear with you," Gloria continued. "You are not in a position to start problems. You're still living off what Caleb left you." Then she said the line she'd used for years. "You need to remember something. That house in Gilbert is Vance's property. We allowed you to stay connected to it. Don't push me." I looked down at the deed on my kitchen table. My name. Only my name. "Thank you for calling," I said. There was a sharp intake of breath. "Excuse me?" I said thank you, I repeated calmly, and ended the call. I didn't feel strong. I felt terrified. But I understood something clearly for the first time. Gloria wasn't calling to apologize. She was calling to reassert control. And that meant I needed proof, not emotion. I opened my laptop and created a folder. Sophie, documentation. Inside it, I saved everything. Sophie's text timestamps. The photo of the sign. A photo of the red mark on her neck, taken gently, with her permission. My typed notes of Sophie's account, word for word, time-stamped. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Trent. "Your kid is a liar. Control her." I screenshot it. Another message came 30 seconds later. "If you make noise, we'll tell people why Caleb kept you out of the real finances." That second message made my stomach drop. Not because it scared me. Because it confirmed something. You don't threaten someone with real finances unless there are real finances you don't want exposed. I added the screenshots to the folder. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't pleading. I was building a case. I didn't call a family friend. I didn't call someone Gloria could charm. I called Elena Park, an attorney a coworker recommended after a brutal inheritance dispute. Her office was in Tempe, above a coffee shop that smelled like burnt sugar and regret. No family photos on the walls. No inspirational quotes. Just law books. Clean desk. Sharp eyes. Elena flipped through Caleb's file bag slowly. "You own the Gilbert property outright," she said. "I didn't know," I admitted. Elena looked at me over her glasses. "Then Gloria has been threatening you with something she doesn't legally control." She examined the custodial account printout. "Gloria is listed as custodian," Elena said. "That gives her access. But it also gives her responsibility." "What kind?" I asked. "Fiduciary responsibility," Elena replied. "She is legally obligated to use that money only for Sophie's benefit." I swallowed. "Can we see the transactions?" "We'll request them," Elena said. "If they refuse, we subpoena." I showed her the photo of the sign. Elena's jaw tightened. "That's public humiliation of a minor." "And she withheld food," I added. Elena nodded once. "That's neglect." I took a breath. Child safety first. Elena leaned back. "Good. Because people who humiliate children in front of witnesses usually escalate when they think no one can prove it." She slid a legal pad toward me. "Write down every person present." I listed names Sophie remembered. When she hesitated, she said softly, "The cousin with glitter nails." I wrote, "Unknown cousin, glitter nails, took photo." Elena tapped the note. Photos become leverage. That evening, my phone buzzed with alerts. New credit inquiry. Email password reset attempt. Bank login from a new device. My pulse spiked. I locked everything, called my bank, and the representative asked, "Did you add an authorized user named Gloria Vance yesterday?" My hand started shaking. "No." I called Elena immediately. "Maya," she said after I explained, her voice turning cold, "that's panic behavior. Someone trying to gain access or cover tracks." "What do we do?" "We keep going," she said. Quietly. Correctly. 2 days later, I was taking out the trash when my neighbor Mr. Navarro cleared his throat. "Maya," he said, hesitant. "I don't want to get involved, but I saw something Christmas Eve." My heart jumped. He explained that he and his wife had been walking their dog past Gloria's house when they heard yelling. Then they saw Sophie standing by the wall through the window. "My wife took a short video," he said. "Just in case." My throat burned. "Do you still have it?" He nodded. "If you need it." I thanked him, went inside, and cried quietly in my kitchen. Because abusers rely on privacy. And now, there was a witness. That afternoon, I made a call I never imagined making about my own family. As a first responder, I'm a mandated reporter. But even if I weren't, I would have called. I reported what happened, factual, calm, precise. Public humiliation. Food restriction. Isolation. A degrading sign. Then I scheduled Sophie's first therapy appointment. She looked at me nervously. "I don't want people to think I'm broken." I held her hands. "Therapy isn't for broken people. It's for brave people who deserve peace." She nodded slowly. That night, Elena called. "We got the account records," she said. "Maya, sit down before you open them." I did. And when I saw the numbers, my stomach dropped. This wasn't borrowing. This was theft. Elena told me to sit down before opening the account records. I was already sitting, but I still felt dizzy when I clicked the PDF. The account had started with $38,600, money Caleb's father had set aside for Sophie years ago. Money meant for college, textbooks, dorm rooms, a future that didn't depend on anyone's mood. There were 19 withdrawals. Not one of them went to a school. Not one of them went to anything with Sophie's name on it. Every single transfer went to the same place. Trent Vance, personal checking. The memo line was always the same. Reimbursement. I stared at the dates. The first transfer happened 2 weeks after Caleb died. I felt sick. While I was learning how to breathe again. While Sophie was sleeping with her dad's shirt because it smelled like him. While I was barely functioning. That's when they started taking. And it got worse. Gloria had changed the mailing address on the account. Every statement. Every notice. Every warning. All sent to her house. She didn't just steal. She hid it. Elena's voice was steady. This is fiduciary abuse. And because Sophie is a minor, the court will take this seriously. What happens now? I asked. We send certified demand letters, Elena said. And if they don't comply, we file. I didn't hesitate. Send them. The certified letters went out on a Monday. By Wednesday, my phone was lighting up like it was on fire. Not apologies. Panic. Gloria left 3 voicemails. The first was angry. The second was pleading. The third was the one that mattered. Trent borrowed the money, she said, her voice cracking. I authorized it because he needed help. He was going to put it back. I forwarded the voicemail to Elena. She replied with 1 sentence. That's a recorded admission. Then something unexpected happened. An unknown number texted me. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was that bad. I replied, who is this? 3 dots appeared. Then. It's Kelsey. Trent's niece. My heart pounded. She continued, they told me to say Sophie was playing a game. Grandma made me take the picture. I feel sick about it. I asked one question. Are you willing to write a statement? There was a long pause. Then, yes. But I'm scared. So am I replied. That's why we do it right. Kelsey sent the photo. Clear. Undeniable. Sophie standing by the wall. The sign fully visible. And Gloria's hand pressing down on Sophie's shoulder. I had to put my phone down and breathe. Because that image wasn't just proof. It was truth. Elena filed the case. Court doesn't yell. It doesn't argue. It stamps, files, and schedules. At the hearing, Gloria showed up in pearls and pressed lipstick like she thought appearance still mattered. Trent sat beside her, leg bouncing. Elena laid everything out. Bank statements, Gloria's voicemail admission, the deed proving Gloria's threats were empty, the witness video, Kelsey's statement, Sophie's documented testimony. Trent's lawyer tried to call it a family loan. The judge asked one question. Where is the written loan agreement authorizing removal of funds from a minor's custodial account? Silence. Then the judge looked directly at Gloria. Did you believe humiliating a child would prevent scrutiny of your financial actions? Gloria opened her mouth. Nothing came out. The judge ordered repayment with enforcement measures, allowed wage garnishment if necessary, and referred the tax irregularities to the county. Gloria didn't look at me when it was over. Trent didn't either. For the first time, they couldn't control the narrative. Sophie started therapy. She learned words for what happened: humiliation, scapegoating, intimidation. Words gave her power. One afternoon she asked, "Can we paint the spare room?" "For what?" I asked. She shrugged. "For my art. I want a room where nobody tells me I'm bad for asking questions." So we painted it sky blue. She taped a note above her desk. "Ask anyway." We rebuilt routines. Pancakes came back. The table stayed set for two. The house got quieter, not empty, just safe. The money began returning slowly through court enforcement. But more important than the money was the shift in Sophie's posture. She stood taller. She spoke up. She trusted her voice again. I wish I could say I handled everything perfectly. I didn't. Some nights I sat on the kitchen floor replaying the moment I left Sophie at Gloria's house, wondering why parents always blame themselves for other adults' cruelty. But here's the truth I learned. You are not responsible for predicting someone else's abuse. You are responsible for acting when you see it. Sophie wasn't punished because she lied. She was punished because she told the truth too early. And the people who did that to her thought silence would protect them. It didn't. What protected us was documentation. Receipts. Witnesses. And the refusal to keep the peace at the cost of a child's dignity. Family isn't the people who demand loyalty while hurting you. Family is the person who takes the sign off. If you're listening right now and you're in the middle of something similar, please hear this clearly. Protecting your child is never overreacting. Boundaries are not cruelty. And quiet strength backed by evidence is powerful. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story meant something to you, hit like so more people can hear it. Subscribe if you want more stories where truth wins slowly, legally, and finally. And please comment below, where are you listening from and what time is it there right now? I read every one. If you've ever had to choose between family approval and your child's safety, you're not alone. The next story also starts with a family gathering and ends with someone realizing paperwork remembers everything. I'll see you there.